Everybody, welcome to One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
This is my co-host, Jim Green. This has been a year in the making.
It's really been 23 years in the making. Who wants to tell it? You or me? I don't know. Let's do it.
What's up, everybody? Here we are together, bringing you guys episode 10 of One Set. How you guys doing? My name is Anthony Irvin, aka Magic. I keep forgetting. This is my co-host Jim Green, aka Green Monster.
Green Monster over here. My name's Jim. How's everyone doing? I was just thinking about Mr. Davis earlier.
Really?
I was like, we gotta get a hold of this guy.
We do. We gotta try to get back on trying to see if we can get a hold of him. I know, and I'll, for the sake of being out here, I know we've been having a hard time getting a hold of him, but I definitely think we got to try to get back on that. We definitely got to try to get him on here.
Yeah, I was driving earlier. I was like, we're shooting episode 10.
Yeah.
Tonight, and we're in person. Obviously.
Yep. Epic moment, everybody.
Yeah. But I was literally thinking, like, we gotta work on this Mr. Davis thing. Like, we gotta make that happen. So for our friends that are listening, if you can be of any assistance, because we breathe this out into the universe, episode 1.
Yes.
We would like to be in touch with him and hope that he would, even if he just jumped on and said hi for like 2 seconds.
Right.
That would be brilliant.
Right.
So, yeah.
Supposedly, a fellow teacher of mine that I knew had unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago, and supposedly on like the online website that they usually have for people,
Sure,
supposedly he actually responded to that saying this person was a nice guy, he was part of the Pendelco school district. So my mom told me, he's like, I think Mr. Davis actually responded. So I'm like, all right, well, he's definitely out there, so he's got to find him.
And that was the thing. Episode 1, I said, I hope he's alive and well.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of...
we know he is. And from a source, I mean, I know he's been having a couple ups and downs, but seems like he's doing well. So I mean, we're on the right path. But hopefully, we're, like I said, we're 10 episodes in, but hopefully we'll get to him within these next 10. And hopefully, we can, at least have a small conversation with them.
Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned to you right before we signed on, like live, right? Episode 20 would look like May 17th, and then episode 30 would look like July 26th. So hopefully before your birthday.
Right.
Because before your birthday would be July 19th, right? That would be episode 29. So if we can grab...
because my birthday's on a Wednesday. Yeah. Right? Or is it a Monday?
Sorry, everybody. Before we signed on earlier, oh my God, we were almost crying laughing. I think Anthony's wife and son almost woke up upstairs. we just absolutely lost our minds. To answer your question, though, your birthday is landing on a Wednesday.
Wednesday. That's what I thought. Because usually, me and Jen's birthdays, I mean, we're 4 weeks apart. So usually, if hers lands on a certain day, mine's landing the same day 4 weeks later. So that's how we can usually decipher between, okay, what day is either one of our birthdays landing on. So I knew it was either like a Tuesday or Wednesday. So yeah, hopefully we can have some type of detail. But like I said, if anybody watching, the episode, which is going to be uploaded, hopefully Friday. I mean, I have a show tomorrow night. So, and especially with work, it's been kind of really been, challenging. So I'm hoping to get this video uploaded by the weekend at the latest. But if anybody watching has any information on Mr. Davis, feel free to email us at onesetpod@gmail.com, the number one. Or feel free to just hit us up on Facebook or Instagram if you guys are on one of those. If you have any information on Mr. Davis, tell him we would love to, have a conversation with him. Just tell him that, this podcast was, set up in his honor because he was the one that brought me and Jim together as friends. And if you guys wanted to hear that whole conversation, you guys can go back to episode 1 and 2. We gave a good, description of how, we met and how Mr. Davis was influenced by our friendship. But, to those factors, we hope, again, that Mr. Davis is doing well, and we hope to talk to you soon.
100%.
100%.
Especially me, I was supposed to be a math teacher. Well, not supposed to be, but like that was kind of how I was gravitating my life as a child. Was when you find that you're good at something, you kind of latch onto it.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew it's interesting because like I think I talked about how I didn't talk until I was like 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't and like I kind of fell through the same route that you did, and not to call you out on it or anything. The guidance counselors when I was 4, 5, 6 years old were telling my parents like he needs another year.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's what I was told too. Yep.
Yeah. And it's I love that we're talking about this and to be completely honest, I know we were talking about this the other day.
Right.
We were literally talking about you going through transitional first the other day.
Yeah. I went through I went to kindergarten and they thought I wasn't ready for first. So I went to transition, spent a year in transition, and then went to first grade.
Right. And like for me, I didn't talk until I was 3 years old. And then I didn't go through transitional first. I was really good at math. So I went into honors math in middle school. My reading comprehension was
whoopsie.
I don't have the timestamp to do that.
We'll get it.
We'll read it back. Yeah. Oh, look. It's right there. 9 minutes.
Oh, there you go.
There it is. All right. So yeah, I like through middle school, I did well with math, and then when we were getting ready to leave 8th grade and go to the high school,
Yeah.
they were like, we want to put you in higher level science because it couples well, essentially, like, or partners well with math. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And I did biology and chemistry, and I'm like, where's the math?
Yeah.
And I literally ate
Whoopsie.
for
Yeah.
2 years.
Like, what are you doing to me?
What are you doing to me? But then I got the physics.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, all the algebra.
Yeah. There is a lot more mathematical aspects in physics, and that's definitely where I remember taking physics, and it was definitely a lot more math for the sciences of the facts that I mean, because I've taken everything from like organic chem to biochem, everything. I mean, in college, but like physics is definitely like a mathematical type of,
It's so algebra based.
Yeah.
And
I know that's kind of your
territory.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah. It's I got the physics award our senior year because I was the only senior that took the AP physics exam.
Why do I remember that? I remember you saying something like you were either like the only senior in the class that had, or it's only senior in some type of way.
I mean, I think that I think that our classmates didn't take to the physics, like the AP physics instructor. For me, I was fortunate to have him for honors physics our junior year. So I was able to digest Newtonian mechanics.
Yeah.
All the way through junior year. So that when we got to senior year, it was like when I was learning everything else. He was like kind of flying through it because I mean, and I do believe in his heart he was trying to help me out.
Right.
I don't think that he was setting me up for failure. So if you're out there and like if you know, I think you did your best. Okay. I don't think that he was setting me up for failure. I think that it was just the physics curriculum is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So fortunately, like I was saying, my our junior year, I was at least prefaced with all of the Newtonian mechanics and so much of like the algebraic stuff that you needed to know.
Yeah.
So that when I went into that AP physics exam, I was like, crush this.
Yeah.
Crush.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were so many things about like relativity that I was just like, because that was like at the end of April.
Yeah.
When the exam was in May, that I was just not firm on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I at least was able to say I passed that exam. I failed. And when I say fail, I took the AP government exam. And same with that teacher. I'm not shutting him down or saying he didn't do his job. But I think that he was more interested in current events. And when we were in school, in that year, it was 2004. We graduated 2005. So election year.
Yeah.
There was just, it was like, we're talking about that.
That was
John Kerry and George W. Bush.
George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Because it was Al Gore and George Bush 2001, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because that was coming into our freshman year.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No.
then it was
Our senior year was the catch-up stuff. Yeah.
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 That's whew, it's a lot of memory.
I mean, we were mildly hitting the head on the nail about like history stuff. I think in the last episode, right? We were talking about the wars.
Little bit, yeah.
A little bit. And you and I being in high school, and it's and I think it's really fun because I just did honors math in middle school, and then went to honors science, and then wound up in honors Spanish, and wound up in AP government. Like, I had all of these classes, and then I don't have a college degree, and you have a master's. So it's like, it's just like, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's got their own path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I said, I mean, I've always been that type of person, like, that says, like, you know, I believe that college isn't always for everybody. I think, you know, that it helps people, but I don't think, you know, everybody needs it, because, you know, depending on what your preferences and what you're going for, I mean, you can go to college for certain things, but sometimes you just need to carve your own path, and, you know, you learn just as much, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, you know, traveling with the convention circuit for Monsters,
Yeah.
with the hip hop industry,
I'm sure you've learned just from that, like, so much about the industry and how things run, that college definitely wouldn't be able to tell you a lot of those things. Like, and that's the thing when it comes, like, building your own experience around certain things, you know, that college may not get you that experience. You have to go out into the field yourself.
No, I think that traveling around the country, I was able to digest the diversity of the different areas in the country, rather than however we exist in Delaware County.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how the rest of the country is.
Yeah.
So learning how to adapt, being in a different environment, was just super rewarding.
Right.
Like, from the West Coast to, you know, Chicago, Texas, like, no matter where in the country I was like, okay, I can walk into a room and I can say, I love you for being the human being that you are. And, and that taught me more about myself than any sociology class would teach me. It's just, and
absolutely.
And it's like, you know, because I was in sociology at Delaware County.
Mm-hmm.
That one time, I went to we'll save that for a different podcast. I think that's a different story that I'll save.
There you go.
I was only there for a semester, but I took sociology, and they were basically just like, hey, the world around you isn't just the world around you right here.
Mm.
And if you can adapt, then you're good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can already do this without paying for this class. So I like, and that's one of the best things that dance taught me.
Yeah.
And being in the art field is like, the world isn't just like you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to accept that people are different.
Yeah.
You know, and that that was one of the most rewarding things about me growing up through dance was, and just being in the art industry in general,
right,
is like we all have a voice. It's and it's different all the time.
yeah,
So when I'm dancing and I'm expressing myself, I'm like, this is who I am.
yeah,
And I watch other people move. It's like Shenyun.
yeah.
When you went to the show and you didn't think it was going to be not that you cut it short before, but you didn't think you were going to enjoy it.
I didn't have as high expectations with it.
But then you watched
But then when
it,
I saw it, I'm like, okay, I can see why everybody's like raving about this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I'm not the most like biggest historical person. I'm not much of a history person.
But you could appreciate it for what it was.
Jen is. She loves history. But for me, and that's the thing, I'm more of a science guy. She doesn't like science. She loves history. I don't like history. So it's kind of like the yin and yang thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see why people go back to it every year. Because, you know, it's like saying in the other episode, they kind of, you know, go off the culture of Chinese culture and then through the dance and everything. But you know, it's the same thing with music. The fact that not many people fully, you know, can understand when it comes from seeing it in a musician type of way versus seeing it in a listener type of way. There's two different types of ways you hear music.
Sure.
Same thing with dance. Like there's two different types of way you can, you know, interpret dance from a dancer to a viewer.
Perfect. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
It's time.
So, you know, it when it comes to, you know, music, I always see like when I'm at a show, I always feel like I'm looking at it differently than everybody else. Like not even from a point of like, you know, hey, I know he's playing a Les Paul or I know he's playing with a Marshall or it's not even that. It's just more of like, you know, you just like you're thinking on a music level with it. Like, oh, okay, I see why he like, oh, that was a cool, you know, verse or I liked how they phrased that or a little bit where, you know, the average listener is just, you know, casually listening and like, yeah, they did a great job, cool, clap your hands and everything. Where like music, we're kind of, you know, our brains are wired a little bit. And I did a you know, project on this when I was in college, the fact that like the musician brain is wired a little bit differently. And I'm sure it comes back to the same thing with dance that like, you know, our brains are wired a little bit differently when we are trying to interpret dance or interpret music versus the average listener or just viewer in contrast. That not that we're trying to say we're different from anybody, but you know, the fact that you know, we see things different. And you know, it's you know, it doesn't necessarily, I guess it's years they kind of took on me until I started seeing it this way. It just didn't really hit me in that way. I think it took a lot of years in order for me to really think the way that I think now. But I mean, did you always see dance that way, or did it kind of just like as you matured, then you started seeing dance in different ways?
I think the biggest struggle. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers, buddy. And cheers to our viewers.
Cheers.
Thank you for all tuning in. This is episode 10. We are in person, everybody, for the first time for one set.
This is our first one.
So many more. Let us know if you guys want to see us in person more often, and we'll make sure to get that going. You know, because
for sure,
we're having fun. You know, it's been a little bit before we actually started going live on this real quick.
Man, we had some. Oh my God,
we had some LOL moments.
We were rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In hindsight, we were rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's interesting how, like I said, we try to um connect the world of music and dance together with this podcast because, you know, Jim being the dancer that he is and me being the musician that I am, you know, we're not anybody, you know, recognizable, but we have a passion for dance and music, and you know, it's been ingrained in our lives for many years. And I think with our friendship, we've been able to kind of connect on those different levels. And you know, we've learned that dance and music have a intersect. And because when you're dancing, you're listening to music and you're interpreting that through a physical, you know, emotion, where music, you're listening to music, and when you're going to see a band or an artist play, you're seeing that put forth through an instrument or a vocalist through their voice. But you know, I always feel that it's cool to kind of just, you know, see where those two things, you know, meet in the middle. And I felt that, you know, there's a lot of similarities to how we interpret our two different art forms.
Yeah. So I think that what's important to acknowledge is like you're a scientist, I'm a mathematician.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this.
Our side hustles.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I think I try to dissect dance and choreography in a structural way.
Yeah.
Just like you try to dissect when you're playing.
Yeah.
Technically.
Mm-hmm.
Like from a technical perspective. But you have to remember it's still an art form.
Right.
So it doesn't always have to be cut and dry. Right. And that's how I'm trying to feel about dance, where I'm just like, it doesn't always have to be cut and dry.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing, but it's also frustrating sometimes, because it's like, what do I do? But at the same time, you have that flexibility.
Yeah.
It's not you working in a lab where things have to be like boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
A, B, C, D.
And then you get to your end result.
Done.
Where music, it's like, you know, like we were saying on the previous, that, you know, there's templates to like songwriting, but it's not like you have to follow that every single thing. Like it's a template, but or it's a guideline, but it's more of like a template that you don't have to follow it. You can take little bits, but then you can make it your own.
Well, and that's where you and I were talking about, like, status quo.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, how old are you? I'm not asking your age, but when you're up and coming, you're trying to follow a format because you're trying to follow the the current trends or the standards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you get to a point when you're like, okay, like us at our age now, it's like, I mean, your upcoming releases that you're working on, your projects that you're doing right now,
right?
Everything is like
dreamers are believers.
That one, you're not following a trend. You're trusting in yourself.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, working with the current projects that I'm working on, I'm not there are 0 projects that I'm working on right now that I'm like, I'm trying to make this look like a current trend, because I'm like, I'm 35 years old. Sorry. But like when I hear music, I react to it. I know I
Yeah.
said this previously, and I run with it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think that that sounds kind of like your dad, where he's like, nobody can tell me what to do with my money.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, it's, I'm not. I have friends of mine that they try to follow the trend. They're younger than me, and they're like, we need to incorporate social dancing. And then I have a friend of mine, one of my better friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little older than me, and he told me years ago, no, I'm just following my gut.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me. Is like, as an artist, we get to make the decision.
Right.
And that is what really, really stuck with me. And I live a lot more freely now.
Yeah.
It feels so much more comfortable because I'm not trying to conform to a specific way of being.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Versus, it's like, love me or leave me.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Absolutely.
And more people are taking it. So it's like,
Something's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not, like I said, conforming to a trend.
Yeah.
It's being yourself, trusting who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so very, very, very important in the art industry
Mm-hmm.
that we live in. It's you can't try to conform to being what's popular. You need to try to conform to being yourself, because you will set yourself
Yeah.
outside of the realm of
Yeah.
what everyone else is doing, and it will provide you, is the word, I think it's individuality.
Yeah. And I've always tried to be like that with my writing. Like, you know, I've never been able to have somebody come and be like, oh, well, you sound like this person or you sound like that. Like, I've never been able to really, say like I sound like a certain person. I feel like I have my own type of sound. Like, I have people that I listen to, but I don't try to sound like them. When I listen to my music, I don't really feel like I don't have something that clicks in my mind like, oh, well, this sounds like that person. But, you know, I try to, like you were saying, like your individuality, I think is a good and bad thing in a way that, it's good to not be part of the trends that are out there because, you and me, we both, are on TikTok. But like, there's so many different trends and things with that. And there's a music community on there, but it's like, I've been watching so many things on there. And it's like, well, if you really want to do good on TikTok, you have to be posting every day, 4 times a day, 7 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it correctly, you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of followers. But I'm like, a person like me, I don't have time to be doing that. But then again, people are like, well, you don't want to have that type of attitude. It's like, I don't have time with that. You can always make the time for that. I'm always like that type of person, like, to be like, if I can, aggravate the time to get it done, I can get it done. But I'm like, a family man, a full-time worker, trying to post on like social media 4 times a day, 7 times a week, impossible. And so it's like with the music community, it's like social media has, and the music community in general these days has been so saturated. Like, anybody can upload music these days. And I guess it's kind of the same thing with dance too. I mean, you mean it's almost in the same way. I mean, if you're a dancer, you can just upload to the internet something that you dance to. I mean, but like for music, you have the ability to download a DAW, record something, and upload it to the internet. And you can just say, hey, this is my new single. Like they're saying like about 40 to 60,000 songs each day are uploaded to Spotify. So it's like, how do you decipher your one song with 40 to 60,000 songs?
Right.
So it's like, you have to be unique, but like you don't want to try to follow trends, because trends are nice, but it's like you just don't want to be the next person to follow something. You want to try to be the follower that everybody else follows.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the hard thing to kind of compromise, though. It's like trying to be the one that everybody else follows instead of you being the person that follows something else.
Yeah, I have always been one Jesus. I've always been one, like, I don't publish my work. Because as soon as I start doing it, I have to continue to do it. So the fact that I am so blessed that people recognize that I am of value, like, without having to put my fucking self on the internet.
Yeah.
I just am who I am. And it's like, as soon as I start doing it, I'm gonna have to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no fucking thank you.
No.
Like, seriously, I'm like, I'd rather people acknowledge me by word of mouth, or there are a couple studios that I reached out to on my own accord and was like, hey, if you need someone for a summer gig, and they're like, oh, we're actually looking for someone permanently, and I'm like, okay, how much you want to pay me?
Right. What? How much cheese you want to give me? And it's hard, and that's another thing we talk about too. Like it's hard to kind of talk money with people, because I mean, I come from
it's the hardest. God,
whoopsie. Yeah,
it's the hard
splooge.
It's fine. It laying on my laptop.
It's all good.
It's because we don't want to be like greedy money grubber.
Yeah,
because we love what we do, and it's just hard.
It's so many variables though, because you don't want to overcharge, but you don't want to undercharge.
You don't want to,
but you want to kind of be in the middle. I come from playing shows for $20 just to get gas money. And sometimes I wouldn't even get paid. I was selling $15 tickets to get $2 back, and I would sell maybe 20 tickets, but then those 20 tickets would go to the sound guy, because like, oh well, you got to sell this amount of money in order to get paid first. But if you sell $20, that's going to go to the sound guy. So anything after $20 you'll probably make, but then you got to give it to this. So there's so many different cuts. And when I had my first show of, cover gigs, being like, so what do you charge? I'm like,
I mean, you don't know what number to say.
I had to go and, talk to a lot of people, say, so what's the going rate for like a lot of these things? I don't know, like, because I don't want to be. So, I mean, thankfully now, I mean, I know my worth and how much to really charge, but it's hard to talk those type of things. And I'm sure it's the same thing with you. It's like,
it's not fun.
Your worth, but it's never easy to really talk about money, especially when you're a performer or musician or any type of art form or entertainment. It's definitely a hard thing to talk about, but we all got to eat too.
We all got to eat.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And you
want to be respectful with it,
And that's hard too, because like, where's the line?
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, you don't want to overcharge, you don't want to undercharge, you kind of want to be in the middle, because then if you're undercharging, you're kind of disrespecting the people that are already getting, you know, to a level of like, okay, I deserve to be paid more, but if you're going to pay this guy less, you know, you're kind of disrespecting in that type of level, you know?
Yeah.
So
And
it's like,
you're trying to find how not to sell yourself short, because you want to own your own value, right? You want to own your own worth.
yeah,
It's hard because you don't want to disrespect anybody on either echelon, right?
yeah,
Higher or lower. You don't want to be like, oh, I want to charge this much, but maybe I'm not worth this.
yeah,
But you don't want to be like, I want to be respectful and only charge this. And then they're like, oh, yeah, no problem.
right.
But you're better than that.
Yeah. It's good when you get the payday. I mean, regardless of the payday, but then when you have good students that are taking your teaching to a level that you know that they're getting what you're.
Dude, they were crushing. And I was like, I don't feel bad about charging what I charged, because you guys are killing this.
Right. So you know that your teaching elements are getting through to them, and they're teachable. That's the word to say, like, you
Coachable.
It's coachable, teachable. You know that when you're, regardless of money, if you have students that are coachable, that they're able to interpret what you're telling them to do, regardless of the money, that's like just as good, because you know at least what you're telling them, they're you know, getting down, and they're just be like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had moments where, you know, that you've had students that are like, okay, it's going to take them a couple weeks to kind of get to that level, but then you've had moments where you've had students like, okay, you have a 30-minute class, or I don't know how much an average class is, like an hour, but you know, that you're like, okay, you teach them this brand new dance, and then an hour, like, okay, it's like they just learned it, you know, like it's like spot on from what you did. But then you have moments where it's like, okay, these kids might take a couple classes to get the whole thing down.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing, and this is for any dancer or musician or artist out there, is like, when you're teaching someone, it's like, for me, it's like, I can teach technique, I can teach mechanics. If you can, if you as a student can understand dynamic, like how to flip your energy, like, that's the thing. I have, pardon me, I have some students I work with that I'm like, I have to explain it to them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's completely fine. I have some students that they digest it immediately. And it's like, I have this one student in New Jersey, who, when I go work with him, I can demonstrate the movement and say, have this kind of energy versus have this kind of energy. And it's just instant. It's done.
Yeah.
He has it. But I have some students where I work with where I'm like, okay, you're understanding the mechanics of the coordination of the movement, but I need to like break down, like, okay, do this like this. Do this like this. Do this like this. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just It's part of the gig,
Yeah.
you know? And it's not beating me up, it's not breaking my back, because at the end of the day, if the student is working their hardest, then they're going to get the dynamic. They're going to work for it.
Right.
It's not a matter of I am speaking advice in one ear and it's just running out the other ear, and they're just like, what?
Yeah.
Which I do have students that are like that. And
Yeah.
and that's that, and it's everywhere. It's not at one particular location or anything. It
You have different
it
levels
happens
for everybody. Yeah.
It happens everywhere. And I have students like that at every location, and I also have students that are superb at every location, that are just like incredible.
Yeah.
So there's no one studio that I work for that is like way better, or one studio that is way worse.
Right.
No, it's just I have some students that I need to work a little bit harder for everywhere, and I have some students that I can just demonstrate information, and they take it and run with it, and it's great. I mean, it's like Vince McMahon. We were talking on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you can grab the brass ring and be great if you can.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you can go to AEW or Ring of Honor or whatever. I mean, and that's not like me knocking on anybody. That's just, I think, how he works.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think it's kind of the same way with music, on the fact that, you know, you have people that in a guitar sense, because I mean, being a guitar player, there's people that are quick learners, and then there's people that, you know, need a little bit of time to kind of just take it step by step, where, you know, I think you've seen me in action a couple times where you've given me a piece of what to really, you know, listen to, and then give me maybe a couple minutes and I'll, you know, play it right back. Not many people can do that. I'm not perfect at it every time, but some people have an ear for, you know, being able to relay music back really quick. And some people, I've seen people on the internet, they're like, you know, they'll show them like a song and then they just play it right back in 2 seconds. And I'm like, you know, that's just incredible. That's an incredible talent. But, you know, I think just like we've been talking, there's professions and, you know, art forms that, you know, you have people on different types of levels. And I mean, I'm not a teacher like you are, that you teach with dance, but there are different levels and skill levels that people, and it's cool to kind of see, you know, in real time, where, you know, especially in a dance type of thing, that you can see the different skill levels of different people, and how, you know, okay, this person's going to catch on to this really quick, so I may not have to give him as much attention, but this person here, not that he's not getting it, but I might have to give him a little more attention in order for him to catch up to this person's level, you know. So it's almost the same thing when it comes to, you know, learning something on guitar, that, you know, for, you know, person B who may be able to, you know, listen to a song and can, you know, get the chords down really quick, person A might need, you know, a couple more tries to be like, okay, I need to go from transitioning in from a C chord to a G chord to a D chord, where this person's already got that down and they're ready to go into this. But it's like, you know, it's cool to kind of just see different skill levels, but how I mean, I guess how they can interpret it. That it's just the more beautiful thing that, you know, there's no right or wrong way to learning an art form. It's just everybody has their own, you know, plateau of perspectives and plateaus of learning it. Not everybody's on the same skill level. Not everybody learns it as quickly as everybody, but you know, you know, there's no right or wrong way to learn, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, you hold this?
Yeah.
How are you grabbing it though? Gently.
Whoopsie. Uh-huh.
Okay, so if we're talking dynamics, and it's like, okay, if I were to say, oh my god, man, she's not actually, but it's like, if I walk through here, frig, versus if I went, it's a little bit larger of a sense of urgency from the audience, you know?
Right.
But one's not better than the other, right? Thank you. One was more casual and one was more energetic.
It's more in the delivery.
Correct. Yeah.
So
it's like if you wanted to sing a song, like pick your favorite John Mayer song and sing it casually versus sing it with aggression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it's just finding the balance in the energy. And I think that that's really important.
I'm starting to get, you know, into that, especially with my voice too. It's like, you know, especially with going through these songs that I'm dealing with right now, that how I used to sing them versus how I'm singing them now, I'm trying to put more emotion into just being monotone and singing them like this.
Trying to find patience, but also trying to like balance the sense of urgency.
Yeah,
right.
Like you're putting emotion into, like, I'm learning more of, instead of just you're singing it, but you're more, I guess it's more thinking about, like, okay, make sure you're on pitch and everything, but like you're making sure you're on pitch, but like I'm trying to put more emotion into the vocal, where it's like, you know, instead of just talking like this and everything, I can talk monotone and kind of have no emotion but no value. But if I talk like this, you know, you're getting a little bit more emotion into what you're saying, you know, so it kind of,
you're breathing exactly what I was just talking about with my body,
right?
Because it's like you don't want to be lazy and boring, but you also don't want to be overly excitable,
right?
Right.
You want to have that,
trying to have that balance, in the middle. Yep.
So, tips from the master Jim Green here.
No. Tips from the both of us. We're both the artists here. Okay, we're talking about dynamics, which is super important, and I preach to all of my students. I say, what's your favorite show on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime, and why is it your favorite? I think we've talked about this too. And it's like, why is it your favorite? It's because it has a balance. It's like not weak, but gentle, I think is a good word.
Yeah.
You were just talking about Ozark.
Yeah.
The new season 4. And you're like, dude, this is so good.
Yeah. And you know, once I'm committed to something, like I'm just like,
can't get off of it.
Can't get off it. My brother just texted me before tonight. He was saying he just started Ozark. I'm like, so good. Let me know when you're done. But like, you know, I can't wait for part 2. Get it done now. But yeah, it's like, you know, what you're trying to get into. It's like, you know,
it's gentle, but then at times it's like super strong.
Yeah.
Um,
You're riding the wave of the whole thing. So
because you're sitting there watching, and you're like, okay, I'm relaxed, and then all of a sudden, some guy happens.
yeah.
Where we at? Nah, it's all good. I want to tie this in honestly the best way that I can and talk about how Michael Jordan used to play basketball, because he had such swag behind him, and he would be cool, calm, and collected, but then at the right moments be super aggressive.
Bro, have you seen The Last Dance yet? You gotta see that.
I gotta watch it.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. I was about to say Michael Jackson. I am Michael Jackson, but Michael Jordan.
But it's because we've talked about
it's the Michael.
MJ.
It's the Michaels.
It's the Mike.
It's the Michaels.
It's the Mikes.
But a big Michael Jordan fan since I've been a kid. Because I mean, like I said, basketball was my first love. Coming up as a kid, everybody wanted to be like Mike as a kid. But watching that documentary, it shows you how much that dude wanted to win, and he would do it at any cost. And the thing, like, he made his team better around him just to get to his main goal.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because I was a guy who, like, I led a team, like a dance team.
Mm-hmm.
And when I grew up, I did not care about winning. I was just like, if we win, we win. If we don't, fuck off. I don't care. And when I started my team, I was just like, I'm building a comp team, a competitive team. But if you guys don't win, I don't give a
whoopsie.
That's just how I was. That's who I was. And now I'm like, if you're high, and it's a lot different because I'm being hired from outside companies. Hey, can you set a competitive piece on us?
Right.
And I'm like, depends. Do you want to win? I'm so different about it now. Like, the way that my brain is wired.
Yeah.
Is I'm like, if you can't win, I'd rather not take your money. But if you want to go win, I'm gonna take you there.
Yeah.
It's just such a different mindset that I'm in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate feeling like I have like that ego, or hate feeling like I have that confidence where I'm like, if you think that you can't handle my
whoopsie,
then I'd rather not.
I think everybody has that type of ego a little bit to them. They're like, hey, I mean,
it's just
if you want to go to this level
that way, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. I mean, it's not something that you portray, but like, I think everybody has to have a little bit of like a confidence ego to kind of just give them that boost of energy to kind of be like, I know I can do this, but like, it's not to the point of being cocky in a way, but
yeah,
it's you kind of, it's good to have some type of an ego, but some people have it to the point where it's like can be annoying.
Wow.
But
it's just a matter of like, I don't want to be
whoopsie
about it,
right? That's a totally different level.
Yeah,
but like,
I want to be like,
here's the thing, like,
I'm
confidence
solid.
is a different thing. If you're
and that's the
confident,
thing.
if you're
I want to be
confident
like,
about yourself, that's different. But when you're egotistical in certain ways, that's when it can be a little bit like, okay, I mean, this guy's full of himself. But like when you're confident and you know that, hey, if you're looking at me to take you to this certain level, I can get you there. That's just more of I guess depends on how you say it, but like, you know, you can do it. So I mean, you're being more confident in what you're presenting to these people more than being egotistical about it.
yeah, I think like I have one student in Delaware who um like I was so nervous about him getting into college, and especially the college dance team. And when I found out he got in the college dance team, I was like, okay, boom. Because I was so stressed prior to that because I felt like there was weight on my shoulders. Um, so he's in a good spot. And the other one of my students from New Jersey, he's gotten into every single school that he's applied to.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. He's just wicked great. He's smart. He's talented. He's got all the things. And then I have another student who got into Penn State main campus. Maine. And that was his target school for the last like 8 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he got in there from what I was told. But I don't know if that's his like end game choice, which is fine. I think what's important is to acknowledge like whatever we want to do, you can do it. Because you can do anything, right? Because I have doubted myself for 15 to 20 years now, almost, and said, I don't believe in myself doing this, but I did it anyway. And I think that that's important to acknowledge, is like when you're insecure about things, just be confident.
Goes a long way.
It goes a long way. Just be confident, because the times that I didn't think that I could do a thing and I just did it anyway and was confident, I did it pretty well. Even when I felt like I didn't do it okay, I still did it. And that's incredibly important. So to our listeners, when you think you can't do a thing, do the thing. Be confident in yourself.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
No, I had way too many times where I didn't think I could do a thing, and I just did. So you should too, and be confident in yourself. Yeah. And anything else?
Yeah. I think we can wrap up a little bit here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us tonight. This has been episode 10. This is the first in-person episode of One Set. Bro, love you, man. So glad we've started this podcast together.
Love you too, Ann. Thank you so much. And
thank
thank
you
you
guys.
to our audience. Yep.
We will be back with another episode next week. Make sure you guys are sharing this with your friends and family. Catch us on Facebook, Instagram at One Set Pod, and email us anytime you want at onesetpod@gmail.com. Send us some, good news, some things you want to hear from us, anything you guys have that you would not want us to be discussing more stuff you want to hear from us. We want to hear the feedback. So feel free to hit us up on email and or on social media. So we will see you on the next episode. Anything you want to say, bub?
Thank you guys. Love yous. Especially talking into a mic. It's not a hammer.
That's not a hammer.
Love you guys. Thank you. And until next time, thank you guys.
Love you guys.